Yeah, well, obviously she's probably saying it after the Albany game. You're done.
Yeah.
You
lost to who?
Your career's over. You might as well focus on that accounting.
At least you didn't lose to Stony Brook.
Yeah.
My weekly shot at the Seawolves.
Yeah, but I think the Ravens are going to be 8-8 probably, maybe as good as 9-7.
I want to say I pronounced that right. It is Falco, not Flacco. Falco.
If it was Falco,
Rockney Amadeus. Anyways, moving on, I have, and I know you guys all disagree, but I think Brock Osweiler is going to make this team exponentially better. Cleveland Browns at 7-9.
No way in hell. You are so out of your mind with
that is your most outrageous thing that you
probably.
I can't even comprehend the Browns close to 7 wins.
I took a bet with my cousin that the Browns will not win more than 5. So I 100% disagree.
That's
all
a
right.
good bet.
We'll see. Like I said, this was the most ambitious.
The Browns are kind of they could go anywhere from. I don't think they're going to be a 1-win team again. I think they will get 2. There's no way they're getting more than 4 or 5. And that would be, I think, a miracle for them.
Vegas has them at 4.5 under, or 4.5 for the over under for games 1.
That's my most ambitious by far.
I don't think Osweiler is anything.
There's nothing else that you can. There's people. If we had anybody living in Cleveland, there's people there that would disagree with you.
And then the team that I have is the number 2 seed coming out of the AFC North, Pittsburgh at 13-3.
I've liked Pittsburgh for a long time. There's too much offensive talent on that
Le'Veon
team.
Bell's playing for a contract. Someone's going to give him $12 million a year for 4 or 5
Antonio
years.
Brown,
it's going to happen.
Nasty.
Brian.
Brian and
Ben Roethlisberger.
Well, yeah, obviously. Steelers, I would say 13 is definitely top. I would say
it's possible.
I would say I'm going to put them at like 10 or 11.
I'd give them 11. Maybe 12 is more realistic. But 13 is best case scenario.
I just think the season's a crapshoot. So even though they look good, they could.
Well, the wins that I have.
That being said, I have no argument with them winning that division and being one of the top 4 teams.
Listen to the first 3 weeks. At Cleveland, Minnesota, at Chicago.
Yeah, win.
Then I have them losing to Baltimore. Jacksonville.
Possible.
Then Jacksonville.
Yeah, losing to Jacksonville.
No.
No.
Then they play Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Then I have them beating Kansas City.
Possible. That's a toss-up right now.
Then they beat Cincinnati.
That's going to be a big test for both teams. That's really going to... I think that might be...
That should
determines
be a
both teams.
They demolished them.
That has to be a primetime.
Yeah, they did, and I think Kansas City is well aware of that fact, and they're going to come out chomping at the bit.
All right, so then you have Cincinnati after Kansas City. That's a win. Then you have Detroit. That's a win.
Yeah.
Then they have the bye, and then I think this is one of my where I fought back and forth. I have them losing to Indianapolis.
No. Get out of here with that.
Healthy Luck is a different animal. He's been hurt for a while with that shoulder.
Not enough talent on it.
That's
they've got all the talent on offense. They've got none of it on defense. And it's all on offense. It's the quarterback and the wide receivers.
Who do they have in it? Yeah,
Frank Gore.
Exactly. But
Mr.
Frank
Reliable.
Gore, yeah. Frank Gore just gets he might as well be Larry Fitzgerald.
Okay. After sorry, go on.
I was just gonna say I don't think their lines are good enough and their defense is pretty atrocious. So I don't see Pittsburgh losing to them.
Oh, okay, so then that just puts them at 14-2. But then they play Tennessee. So then let's flop them. Okay.
Yeah, I would definitely flip those because Tennessee is, as I said, a rising team.
Either one of those games can get that Tennessee or Kansas City. Either one of those games could be losses.
Then I have them beating Green Bay.
Oh.
Ooh.
I think it's a toss-up. I think the two
they have
teams
the
are
advantage
equal
on defense. I think they're a better defensive team than Green Bay is. But
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I find it hard.
Well, the question that I have: Cowboys would have beat the Packers if the Cowboys had a good defense. The Cowboys and Steelers have similar offense. Steelers have a way better defense.
You mean Green Bay?
No,
you said Dallas.
No, I'm talking about the Cowboys and the Steelers. Cowboys and Steelers are very similar teams, except for when it comes to defense. The Steelers are definitely much better on defense.
Right, but we're talking about the Green Bay Steelers game.
Right, I know. I'm getting
He's
to
just
that. I'm
he's
making
going
a
around.
connection. The Steelers will do to Green Bay what Dallas couldn't. That's the philosophy. That's the thinking I'm going
Maybe.
with.
That
Jordan
game-
Montgomery is still gonna. That's not his name. Jordan Montgomery.
Ty Montgomery.
Yeah, Ty Montgomery's going to be their starting running back.
I mean, they don't have Fat Eddie anymore. So.
No. So I think
Boon for them.
I think if anything,
It's not a loss.
even though their record is better, I think Green Bay's not as good of a team as they were last year.
I think that
if
game,
everyone's healthy.
I think that
Yeah.
game is the game that Aaron Rodgers bombs it with 4 seconds left on the clock for 80 yards to beat them. Watch it happen.
Maybe.
Because he does.
Yeah.
He's good for it at least once a year.
Is Jordy healthy? I think that's always.
You know he's good for one of those.
Right. So then
determining factor. That's a toss-up, yeah.
after Green Bay at Cincinnati, they win.
Yeah.
At Baltimore, they win.
Yes.
Lose to New England.
They could split. They could split with Cincy and with Baltimore. Those are in division games. Those are always tougher.
I don't think there's enough talent on both of those teams.
And
to
then
keep up with the Steelers.
beat Houston,
if
beat
the
Cleveland.
Steelers are healthy.
Definitely beat Cleveland. Houston is another one that's interesting. Could be better this year. Healthy J.J. Watt.
See, I don't
Quarterback
think so
concerns me.
because
Yeah,
because
obvious
Sammy
quarterback.
Watkins, not Sammy
Man,
Watkins.
you were having a time of it today.
I am. What's his name? Deshaun Watson
Yes.
is going to end up being their starting quarterback by this point in the season.
Well, they're not going to have much of a choice.
They-
Who else is
Savage.
Who are they
pitching?
starting?
They're going to
Savage.
rock with TJ Savage to start the season.
Great name.
Savage had
Not a good
flashes, but
He was like Semyon. He wasn't losing games for them.
Definitely has a sweet
But
name.
if Watson shows that he can, he can do it, then
He's a better RG3,
yeah.
I think, in my opinion.
Is he
Boyd?
first year
Or-
ready though, Watson?
Watson?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's
I don't know.
That's a big determining factor.
That's
if there's a
he's
shake-up, then
whether he's
and
first
that's
year
how late
ready
in the season.
toward the end. This is second to last game.
Houston might not even have to worry because their division is not very good. It's them and the Colts.
Well, yeah, he's got Indianapolis. With
There's Tennessee.
outrageously good
oh,
record.
I'm bugging.
Tennessee.
Tennessee, yeah,
Tennessee
Tennessee's
wins
gonna
that
make that.
division.
Yeah, Tennessee.
Yeah, I have Indy at 10-6. But we'll get to
Yeah, I
that.
still don't agree with that.
So yeah, I think Houston took a couple steps backward.
Yeah, they know what they have and they know what they need, and it's going to take a couple
To take some
years
time.
to develop.
Yeah.
They know that.
All right. So anything more on the AFC North? Or are we all good with that?
No, I think it's okay.
NFC North. In fourth place, with the second worst record in the National Football League, are the Chicago Bears.
Agreed.
Should be a T after the CHI.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are
2 and
bad
2 and 14.
and they are dumb based on their draft strategy.
2-14
With wins over Philly and San Francisco.
Yeah, 2-14 is probably accurate.
Uh,
I could see them being the
Maybe
I'd
they
say-
beat Minnesota once.
I'd say 3 to 4.
Is
Four
optimistic.
being their top. I'd
optimistic.
say realistically they're a 3-win team.
Yeah. Probably.
I'm not too concerned over one game differences.
No, but
Yeah.
I mean you're pretty close. But they might be able to eke out a third or a fourth. But fourth is the best they're doing this year.
And
Yeah.
After
Who do you have in third in their division?
Minnesota
I
at
disagree.
5 and 11.
I actually have Lions
I-
as third.
Yeah,
I-
I don't.
Listen, I don't buy the Lions as getting back to the playoffs, but I buy the Lions as a threat to push for.
No, I think
No,
the
the Vikings
What do you have
were,
the records at?
were pretty decent last year.
The Lions 10 and
What,
6.
what do you have both of them at? Them in Minnesota.
Oh,
Obviously,
Minnesota
Green
5 and
Bay's
11.
number
I
5 and
disagree
11 and
completely.
10 and 6.
I have Minnesota 5 and 11.
And you have who do you have at 10?
Detroit
and
at 10 and 6.
6? No,
No
not
way.
no.
They're
way.
not making the playoffs.
No,
No
way.
way.
They're
Detroit
not
is
even
a
going better than
7-win
8
team.
and 8.
Yes.
They're 8 and 8 at their absolute best.
Yeah, I have Minnesota as definitely second in the division. They were the second-ranked defense last year. Their defense is disgusting, and they have their quarterback back.
So no, they don't. Minnesota.
yeah,
No, Teddy Bridgewater's
Teddy
not playing.
Bridgewater's
He's-
still rehabbing.
he's running around throwing passes.
He's still
They're
not going to push.
Sam Bradford is the starting
one of
quarterback.
The worst injuries, but that being said, Bradford
the first 4 games.
Bradford still kept them in this with one of the best defenses. If they can get Bridgewater back, that's the key factor.
They don't expect Bridgewater to come back, and they're being optimistic until next season.
Whatever. I don't trust anything that comes out of Minnesota.
It was a horrible injury, but
I didn't even see it.
Around.
I mean, I wish I could have seen what was going on.
All you need to know is when players take their helmets off and practice ends, it was a bad injury.
Yeah.
But they don't. Usually, they just roll you off the field and they'll continue. If it's
Bradford, I still think they're better than Detroit.
So here's what I have for Detroit's wins: Arizona, Minnesota, Carolina, New Orleans, Cleveland, Chicago, Minnesota, Baltimore, Chicago, and Green Bay is not going to be playing the last 2 weeks of the season because they're going to lock up the number 1 seed.
6 of them. They could lose to Arizona, in my opinion.
They
could lose.
Who, the Lions?
Yes.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They could lose
I think
to
they
Arizona.
Do lose to Arizona.
They can lose to Minnesota. They can lose to Carolina, and they can lose to New Orleans.
I think they'll split with Minnie. New Orleans.
I can't predict that division.
Could poop on him, or he could just
be poop.
Yeah.
Which I'm expecting to be.
Are they at New Orleans?
Breeze
is way better at home.
Mind you, Breeze is also favored
they're
for most passing yards.
I'm giving that to New Orleans because Breeze is way better at home.
So I look at things like them reaching out to Johnny Manziel to be their starting quarterback of the future as a sign that they don't expect to be anything.
That's who?
The Saints.
I don't know that was an actual reach.
Yeah, I think that was convenience that they were both in the same area, and Peyton had to have happened to have a conversation with Johnny Manziel about, and then people had to make it a big to do because we should be doing a Manziel watch.
I think the Lions.
I love that kid.
We can do a Manziel watch.
He's on SNL sometime.
We can do a Manziel watch.
No, thank you.
I
predicted his fall as soon as
I don't think anyone predicted he would do well.
I love him as far as him being able to entertain me with his shenanigans.
Off the court, off the
just
field, or on the field?
In general, he is to me is the epitome of a real life does not wear makeup clown.
Johnny Football.
I enjoy his antics.
But back to the Lions, I think Amir Abdullah needs to step up if they're even going to get to 7 or 8 wins. Stafford is decent, but no Megatron.
They didn't have Megatron last year,
and it showed.
They made the playoffs.
Barely. They shouldn't have made the playoffs.
Also, with Minnesota losing their quarterback right before the season starts, and the fact that Chicago was basically imploding in front of our eyes.
Well, they got the wild card.
With Minnesota, their starting quarterback, after Teddy Bridgewater went down, took them to 6 straight wins to start the season.
That's great. Where did they finish?
It
doesn't matter how you begin. Ask any Bills fan.
Right? So why is Sam Bradford going to be better this year than he was last year?
Because now he's been in the system for a year.
Yeah, he was brought in last minute.
You think it's easy for a quarterback just to change teams and pick up a whole new playbook?
I didn't say it was.
Right, but 1 year of experience makes a ton of difference with knowing that playbook inside and out.
The problem that I had was the downward trend. If they started out with 6 losses and then got better, that's one thing. But they started out with 6 wins and got worse.
Yeah, because every year he starts off good.
Tougher games. They again, second-ranked defense. I think that is extremely important, and I think if a couple things go right, then they could take the wild card and.
Yeah, if things go right. I'm talking about if things go the way they should.
If things go the way they should, then they'll still beat the Lions.
No.
Yes.
Nope. Okay, we'll agree to disagree, but we'll continue on.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll skip Detroit because we already just talked about them with Minnesota. Green Bay 13-3. Any qualms?
It's realistic.
I think they could go 14-2 realistically, but I think 13-3.
I think they sweep their division.
They're gonna make playoffs. There. Yeah, they're gonna take the division. So who else do they play?
This is what I have. They beat Seattle, lose to Atlanta.
Seattle That's a
Those
toss-up.
two- Those two could go either way.
It depends on who the refs are.
Yeah.
But those two could
It's a
go
literal
either way.
toss-up that is going to get caught in the end zone, and there'll be a determination
So
later.
I have them beating Seattle, losing to Atlanta. I have
Okay.
them beating Cincinnati, beating Chicago, beating Dallas, beating Minnesota, beating
Dallas,
New Orleans.
another potential toss-up. If Dak comes out and plays, then Dallas could beat them.
If he
And at that
does,
point,
I'm just